Alrighty, hello people, welcome back to a new video where today we're going to be going over the best way to survive and progress in Lethal Company. So, this is going to be a tutorial on how to survive multiplayer, because a lot of people do play multiplayer. It's rare that you see somebody playing solo. So if you're playing solo, I'm sorry, this is not the video for you, but at the same time, these tips and tricks could actually be worthwhile you watching because it does work in both cases. With some of these, it's just there's a lot of stuff in this video that is more about multiplayer aspect. So, let's get straight into it. Sorry about the extra noise, that was the rain. My bad. Enjoy the vid. Right, so let's go over the first stage. And the first stage is a lot different to any other stage because it's the baby steps. You've got to get into the game and you actually have to do something to begin actually making a profit. So they make it nice and easy for you at the start. So at the start, don't buy anything. You'll have a little bit of money, but you don't want to buy anything. Having the regular bare-bone flashlights or a walkie-talkie isn't as important as saving up your money for the next turn and just going for it. You need to full force just go into the facility. So you have to enter a facility on the planet, but what planets do you pick? So in terms of moons, you will have 4 different weather modes as well as just a normal mode. But the 4 different weathers are flooded, eclipsed, stormy, and foggy. Now, flooded and eclipsed are a no. Flooded is not as dangerous as eclipsed. Eclipsed means that you're going to have some really dangerous enemies right at your front door as soon as you land the ship. You don't want that, because that means instant death. So instead, go for something like stormy or foggy. Flooded is fine, but you're going to drown if you spend too long in the facility, and you still get the dogs and the giants spawning afterwards anyway, so there's really no point. But all in all, go for the ones that are completely normal, regular, just easy to go through, because otherwise it's just going to be a pain. Alright, so when you actually enter the facility, what do? Either you stay as a group for a more defensive strategy, or you split up to explore the most area and find the most loot faster. It depends on how fast you want to get through the first couple of stages before you get to the good stuff. So in the first bunch of stages, you can either stay as a group, which means you are all clumped together, and there's potential that somebody could be a scapegoat, so somebody might not be carrying that important of loot. Let's say somebody's carrying 4 keys on them. You're not going to want that guy getting out with all those keys unless you're really not wanting to deal with the loot hoarders. So, best option is to just sacrifice one person and head straight out the exit while they're dealing with the monster and possibly, let's say, lead it away or something. So if you've got a Thumper chasing after you, he runs the opposite direction, Thumper chases after him, all is good. Spider, same thing. Even if there's a blob and it's blocking your path, just get somebody to sacrifice themselves and try and get it to be led away from the rest of the team. So on and so forth. Or you could go for the much faster strategy, which is all splitting up, finding the most loot in the largest area, because you're all going separate ways, and then you just grab the loot, take it outside, dump it on the floor. This is for both strategies. You literally pick up as much as you can get. Primarily, you want to focus on getting single slot items and then picking up a 2-handed item as the very last item, because you want to hold as much loot as you can so that when you get out of the facility, you can dump that all and then go straight back in, depending on how many items there are on the map. Once you put these items outside, leave one designated person to go back and forth from this facility to the ship and back with loot to hoard it all into the ship and make sure that it's all there, comfy in the ship, and have that person stay at the ship so that if everybody dies, in that case, they can just set the ship off and it's not as big of a worry. Just make sure that they know how to use the terminal and switch between them so that you can see if they're dead. So you keep exploring, but you call it quits when it reaches near or at 6 PM. You don't want to stay out any longer than that, because as soon as it hits 6 PM, dogs spawn, giants spawn, and there's these, I think they're called baboon birds or something like that, which are basically like a mix of a gorilla and a bird that just kills you if they are in a large pack. So make sure you stay clear of all three of them, because the birds are a lot less dangerous than the giants and the dogs, but at the same time, if it's 6 PM, make sure that you're crouching back to your ship. Otherwise, just run straight back, close that door, and take that ship away from that planet as fast as possible. So what do you do once you actually finish all 4 of the first runs and you have a ton of loot on your ship? Well, once you get to the facility, you only want to sell as much as you can to hit the quota. You don't want to sell any more, any less. You want to hit that quota and stop selling, because all of that extra loot that you have on the ship, you want to keep that. Because on your next expedition, if you keep one person on the ship, or you all manage to survive, or one person manages to survive, gets back to the ship, takes off, and you go through all 4 of the expeditions on your next stage, you can keep all of that loot and then you still have quota. And that's the most ideal situation, because normally it's, I think, $130 or $140 on the first expedition, which is a bit pants. So as soon as you get to the next expedition, you will have, let's say, 300 to 600 worth of loot, maybe even more than that, just stored all on your ship, because you decided to keep it back instead of just selling it all straight away. Alright, let's move on to second stages and onwards. So, you want to buy basic items such as the pro flashlights and the walkie-talkies. Because you only sold up to profit, you probably won't have as much money as you would have wanted. So, just in case you do want to have that little bit of extra money for some more items, the items I'd recommend for you to buy is teleporter primarily, because then you can either teleport somebody who's struggling back to the ship before they die, or you can teleport a dead body back to the ship to avoid fines, or you can buy different defensive items such as the zap gun, the stun grenade, or the shovel, because all 3 of them can save you in situations. Just make sure that you split them between people, and make sure that if somebody is using the zap gun, they make sure that they hit the right object, because there's multiple times where I've either zapped a teammate or I have just completely missed, which is terrible. I'm bad with it, and I admit that it is, like, I'm terrible with it, so I'm not gonna start going, I'm the best, because I definitely ain't. Always keep a member at the ship monitoring everything, so that that member at the ship can just keep track of everybody, see who's died, teleport them back, and see how much loot is around the person, see if there's any entities around the person so that they can avoid them, and they just guide them around the facility. And it's kind of like a ringleader controlling a circus. You've got to make sure that everybody's in their right places and avoiding the wrong things to then get to the right things. So let's go to late game. Now, late game is when you start hitting the very last planets. So Rend, Dyne, and Titan, which all 3 you have to spend money to unlock. Rend and Dyne are both mansion levels, which are actually quite fun and are quite a lot easier to explore in comparison to Titan, because Rend and Dyne, I think Rend is an A+ rank on difficulty, Dyne is an S rank, and Titan is an S+ rank. So when you go into these different planets, you want to take as many precautions as possible. So you want to buy pajamas and a shower to lower paranoia. I'm pretty sure they both do, because it's been spoken about multiple times. They just make you a bit more comfortable. You want to stick together and collect as much loot. You don't want to split apart. If you split apart, you're all going to die. And if you're feeling risky, or you have one last ditch effort to grab as much stuff as you can and you've got nothing left, use a reverse teleporter, because it's fun and it's just a great way to just get in, get out with quite a decent bit of loot. But like I said, you do want to take all precautions necessary because of how dangerous these levels are. So take all offensive and defensive items with you, so that's the zap gun, the shovel, the stun grenade, all that good stuff. collect as much as possible without taking too much risk. So if there is the little girl in the red polka dot dress chasing after you, don't take the risk of going back in and trying to survive her, because it is very unlikely that you're going to be able to outrun her for long enough. So if you see the little red girl, go back to the ship, take a shower, or just stay at the ship just in case you do die. Maybe teleport somebody back so that they can then just sit there, get ready for launching the ship off, and then it's all fine. If you see the Nutcracker, kill it for the shotgun. The shotgun is an insanely powerful weapon against different entities, monsters in the facilities. So Nutcrackers, kill them. So you've just got to make sure that you don't get shot by them, because that is the worst case scenario. Well, that's all from me. Cheers for watching. If you haven't done so yet, like, subscribe, notifications on, all that good stuff. Comment down below what you want to see next. So if you want to see more Lethal Company, if you want to see a different game with informational videos on, go ahead and tell me. I'll gladly have a look. And finally, Discord, link will be in the description. We're going to try and expand my audience to different games. So at the moment, it's a lot of Roblox players, but we're going to try and expand that to other players so that we can just have more generalized conversations instead of just Roblox. And then we could also just have game sharing spots, and we'll have events and all that good stuff. So join in with that, and I'll see you all in the next video in a bit.